Welcome back. This is part 2 of our on-site optimization and applying keywords to our web pages in order to make them landing pages. Now we're talking about text, and it is more than important. Text is most important, and you have to get it right. So if there's anything in this little session that you don't fully understand, please feel free, send me a message, post up on the board, and I'll help you to understand it. So first of all, focus on the keyword. Whatever you write in your body of text, we can see over to the right here, there is a whole body of text, but I've left out the title. Well, you should be able to tell what the title is likely to be just by reading the text. More often than not, you should even be able to guess what the keyword for the page is just by reading the text. And make sure, of course, that you include the keyword and maybe some variations of it. And prioritize text quality. Text is such a crucial element of a landing page. You got to make sure it's unique. Write it yourself. Make it informative to whatever the search intent was. So if it was to research, of course, you want to go deep into that. Make sure it's well written. Make sure it's well laid out and contains answers to all the questions that they might have had about that particular question. But if it's a product-led keyword search, Nike trainers and some particular model, I'm sorry, I don't know any model, let's say Air Max, Nike Air Max and whatever comes after that, well, of course, you want to write text that gives all the features and anything else that someone might want to know about that product. Write for the user, focus on the keyword, and include your keyword. And where you place your keyword is important. You need to have optimal placement. Place the keyword within the first 100 to 150 words to help search engines quickly understand the page's context. So you'll find a well-written article will include the keyword within the first paragraph, and then maybe some semantic versions of it a little further down. And if it's long enough, it might include the keyword multiple times, but just don't stuff it in. Avoid keyword stuffing. I'm kind of skipping ahead there, so we'll just go back a little one to natural integration. Use the keyword naturally. Don't force them in where they don't belong, as this could harm the readability and the user experience. And people might click off, they might not come back, and that would send a bad signal to Google. And that leads me on to, of course, we mentioned it before, the keyword stuffing. We can't just repeat those keywords unnecessarily or put it in too many times, because Google will take that as a bad signal that you're trying to game the system. And of course, users won't like it. It won't read well. It won't give a good user experience. And then people don't come back sending those bad signals to Google. Write for the reader first. Always think about them when you're writing. Balance their needs with SEO requirements. Tick the SEO boxes, but write for the reader. Think about their search intent every time and what they want to read, and elaborate on it. Give it all to them. And then, of course, that semantic text. It should be used, but only if Google understands it means the same thing. So if you're going to use a semantic version of a word, what you can do is just go to Google. I'll just do it now for you. And let's say we were doing a search for laminate flooring. Okay, that's the industry I used to be in. And actually, believe it or not, that is the website that I used to own. And we can see we stock an extensive range of laminate flooring, the keyword. And you can see if I click on this website, the H1 title is, of course, laminate flooring. Now, as I go down, what we might find is a semantic version of laminate flooring. And there it is there. We've got laminate flooring here, but we've got laminate floors. It means the same thing, and Google knows that. And we can check that by copying and pasting that into Google and seeing, do we get results for laminate flooring, even though we searched for laminate floors? And if I go down, well, of course, there's the first AI overview is laminate flooring, and we're seeing laminate flooring. We're seeing laminate wood flooring, another semantic way of saying the same thing. Laminate flooring here. So Google understands it means the same thing. Now, you should never build other web pages for a semantic term, because Google will again think that you're cheating the system. just put them all into the whatever the one keyword is, put all the semantic versions in there. And I'm not saying you have to use every one. Again, just put them in where it reads well to the user and show that you have variation in your vocabulary, and write a good article. So that is semantic text. If you do a Google search for something you think is semantic text and it's not returning the original keyword, then Google maybe doesn't understand. So you possibly could write another page for the semantic version. Now, our ultimate goal is to focus on creating high quality, relevant content that provides real, genuine value to the user's search intent, which should always be your keyword or a variation of it. So I hope all that is pretty clear. Any questions, please do ask them. I'll be only too happy to help. Now, this is from Google themselves again. Unique, high-quality content is an important ranking factor for Google. Creating compelling and useful content will likely influence your website more than any of the other factors. And of course, the biggest body of content on any web page is almost always going to be the text. And Google says that it will likely influence your website more than any other factor. So that's why it's so important. Now, writing with AI. You've probably been thinking straight away, well, could I just write my articles with AI? Could I get my product descriptions and all that stuff done with the AI? It's going to save you a lot of time, right? AI tools like ChatGPT, it launched to the public in November 2022 and allowed anyone to create content quickly. And SEO experts, digital marketers went crazy with it. And Google responded very quickly. Actually, it was within 6 weeks, and it added a new factor to its algorithm called experience. So it already had an algorithm called EAT, expertise, authoritiveness, and trust. And Google added experience to that. Now, it doesn't take a genius to work out that AI cannot write from the point of view of experience. So this was a way for Google to ensure that it was getting real user-generated content in the mix and promoting it over any content that couldn't demonstrate experience. So think about that when you're writing articles or products. So here's how I would write for Google's updated EEAT algorithm, standing for experience, expertise, authoritiveness, and trustworthiness. And that is the name EEAT of the framework, which Google is now using to evaluate the quality of your content. If you have written it with AI, Google will peg it as lower quality because it doesn't have real user experience. So the importance of EEAT for SEO, it helps you to create high quality content that performs well in Google search results. It's not a direct ranking factor. Just ticking the box for that will not rank you. It's going to align with Google's definition of good search results. And if you do all the other things correctly, writing for the keywords and everything we have and will talk about, and include the EEAT algorithm in your writing, then you're going to rank much better. You could get everything else right. You could do it all with AI and get AI to get all the SEO elements correct for you. A lot of the online editors do that nowadays. You can build websites with the AI now, but it cannot get that EEAT algorithm right. So you need the human factor. So to optimize for experience, you want to show your first-hand experience with whatever the topic is through your tried and tested advice, your own insights, your own opinions. So ways that you can demonstrate that on a website, for example, is if you were writing an article. Let me just flick to my own website here, which I no longer own, but I used to own. And this is an article I wrote about engineered wood flooring. Now, this is the target keyword. What is engineered flooring? And of course, if I hit inspect, we'll see that is in H1 tags. As we go down, you will see semantic versions of that there. Engineered flooring. What is engineered wood flooring? There it is. There's a semantic version of our title. And we'll see some H2 titles as well. What I want to draw your attention to is just down here where I have written, at Wood Floor Warehouse, we regularly hear many common misconceptions about engineered wood flooring. And then I go on to say about what other people would say about engineered wood flooring, their opinions. And we dispel those myths with our expertise. And that's a great way to get that experience into the EEAT algorithm, showing that we have experience and we're going to demonstrate it with our expertise, with common things people have asked us. And here is our answer because we know about this stuff. So that's a good way to get it into an article. Now, probably a little more difficult to get into a product. So if I go to a product on our website, well, one of the things that you can do, of course, you can write your product details yourself, your own opinions on them, a little bit of advice to help people. This flooring doesn't require glue. It's designed to be done this way. It's low maintenance. That's just our own thoughts on it. But another thing you might also want to put in there are maybe some customer reviews or Q&As where customers can ask questions, and it's user-generated content. And again, that gives real experience, because if someone leaves a review for a product, well, then that's their experience with it. And that is going to help products to rank better too. Optimizing for that experience is going to help set you apart in the EEAT. It's going to set you apart from the AI. But of course, we still need to demonstrate our expertise. So you've got to highlight your knowledge, your skills, your credentials relevant to the page topic, and then build trust with users and Google doing that. You can build your authoritiveness by growing your reputation as a reliable source by earning backlinks. That's something we'll talk about further down the line. But if you're writing good quality articles, if you have good quality products, other websites in your niche are going to link to you, and that is going to help build your authority. And it's something for a little later down the line that we will be doing a lot of focusing on. And then, of course, establishing your trustworthiness. So simple things like ensuring your website's secure, your content is accurate and up to date, and you'll have all the relevant certifications and credentials published on your website is going to help with that trustworthiness and make sure Google can read all those things. Of course, we have those different page types. We've looked at them again, but I think it's very, very important to think about it under user intent. What would the user want to see? And how does EEAT, especially the experience side, fit into that? So if it was an article, we would write from our experience and give our opinions. Have an author profile as well, and that's going to build up your experience credentials. So often when we look at an article on a website, let's just take a look at Tom's Guide here. That's one of the biggest article websites out there. And I'm pretty sure if we go and click on any of these articles, and of course, we can see all the necessary elements in there, but we'll see the credentials of whoever wrote this article, Casey Hill, and we can click there and we find out about Casey Hill's expertise. And that helps build on all those important things. And certainly it's going to help Google to know we have experience in what we're writing in. Now, if it's a category page, it's very difficult to get all these things in there because normally you wouldn't put a lot of text in the category page because people want to see products. They don't want to see a big article. We think about user intent. If I'm searching for tennis t-shirts, I want to go to a page that has hundreds of tennis t-shirts. Maybe I can filter them and look at different colors, sizes, brands. I don't want to read an article. I want to buy. So if I'm at the browsing stage, we got to think about that. And so it makes it a lot more difficult, but maybe a brief line in there, because we're still going to have a couple of lines of text about maybe our experience in the category. You know, if I owned a tennis website selling tennis t-shirts, maybe under the tennis t-shirts category, I could put in our, we've sold thousands of tennis t-shirts and these are the best in our opinion. And that kind of gets that little EEAT algorithm solved with our experience in there. We've added our opinion. So something like that is going to steer the algorithm that there's a real user behind this and it's not just it's not just AI generated content. Somebody real has actually handpicked these products for you. And then products. That gets a little bit easier because we can demonstrate our inside knowledge on the product when we're writing about it and add that user-generated content, the Q&As, the reviews, and all of that is going to give us the experience part of the EEAT and help all those different parts of your website rank better because we're ticking the box for the EEAT algorithm. Of course, as I said before, it's not a ranking factor, but it is something that we should be doing so as Google can determine that the quality of the content is high, and that is a ranking factor. So it's not a direct ranking factor, but it leads to a very important ranking factor. And I'll just go back. Creating compelling and useful content will likely influence your website more than any other factor. And it is one of the ways Google decides if it's quality content. If it has that EEAT algorithm box ticked, it will be decided that it's quality content or more likely to be quality because it's not written by AI. And that is a big bonus point for when it comes to ranking higher. And Google even says it will influence your website more than any other factors, having high quality content. But one thing that you may have heard about is article length. There's many things written about it, and I'm using my little AI generated clay models here. I'm running a bit of a theme with them. So I hope you like them. Let me know in the community if you do or don't. So the pastel clay truth, the word count equals Google rank. There was a ton of articles done on that a while ago that higher word count meant higher rank. So everyone rushed to increase their word count. And it's still a mistake people make today because it's not actually true. Google came out and made a statement and said, it has no correlation. Yes, it may give higher rankings, especially the articles, because people have went more in depth and made higher quality content. But never, ever should you be adding words or increasing article length if it's not useful to the user. So that little claimation should actually be this one. This is the relevant one. But I wanted to show you the first one because it's a myth that goes about that people still fall for. And I'm going to show you something very interesting about it in just a second. But this is reality. It's a myth that more words equal higher rank. The reality is it's quality. Focus on user value. If you need an in-depth article to answer a question, of course you've got to give it and you're going to need more words. But if it's a category page, it doesn't need a lot of words. So that is us almost there. We're 66% complete. And because those myths have been going around for a long time, a lot of people are still putting extra words onto content where they shouldn't really be. And actually, the website that led probably to my most successful e-commerce journey, the wood floor warehouse one, when I was running that, and I do have a screenshot here, if I can just find it, it's in my Canva. Well, this was what I had in my category page, about laminate flooring, and I had laminate flooring and then a semantic version and 3 lines of text because it's a category page. People wanted to see lots of products. But if I was to go to that today, this is the same page and we have all the products. But when I go down the bottom, we can see all this text here. And it's just not needed. People won't read it. So it's taking up space that isn't really necessary because Google is looking at how many products are on the page, what people are looking at, what people are clicking on. They're probably not reading an article about what laminate flooring is because that's not the search intent. The search intent was to buy. If they were to write an article on what is laminate flooring, of course, we've got to serve up an article, not products. And when the search intent is to buy, we've got to serve up products like this, not a big article like what we see below. So very, very important. And You'll see it all the time, and you'll often see websites ranking very well for category pages with barely any text because it's just not needed in a category landing page. We want to see products. That's us almost there with our on-site applying keywords to a web page. So just one more bit to go, and that's our images section. So I hope you enjoyed that. Again, any questions, please feel free to post them up on the board, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much for listening.